It was no, Zoom was having a little bit of issue over there, so we'll try this here. So we're leaving off with the martyrdom of Thomas around the year 52, and we're now going to be moving forward past that. So Rome, with the symbolism of the eagles, destroyed the temple and conquered the Jewish nation, putting down the revolt. Destroyed the temple in the year 70. They came out of Mount Scopus here, same place that the Jews came back to Jerusalem in the 1967 Six-Day War. Very same place from which they scoped out and returned to Jerusalem. Then in 74, they had their last holdout here at Masada. Then in the victory by Rome was celebrated here on the famous Arch of Titus, done a few years later in 81. Notice the menorah, hallmark of their defeat of the Jews there in the land. Big time later, 132 AD, we have the Bar Kokhba revolt, where they minted their coins in rebellion to Rome, and that revolt got put down in a couple years. And it was after that that they named the area Palestine, the region under the Rome, that district, naming it for the Philistines and trying to eradicate and erase the history of the Jews there. So this brings us to this gentleman here. I mentioned that the Olympics had a break. And they have not continued nonstop since 776 BC. Well, what happened? Well, I mentioned Thomas's influence in the East and things coming over from there. In the East, unfortunately, the gods, the lowercase gods, they never left. Their influence ended up winning out and dominating, and we see the results of that today. But unlike the East, where those gods, lowercase g, never left, the West actually was exorcised of its gods and spirits. The gospel drove out the gods and the Shadim from Hebrew, the demonia from the Greek, that had been inhabiting the pagans on the west side. And Jonathan Cahn refers to this as the greatest mass exorcism in history, was the spread of the gospel to Western culture. Why is there such hostility towards Western culture and wanting to undo and erase Western culture? Because Western culture is Judeo-Christian. That's the bottom line. The attack on the West is an attack on God. The West embraced Judeo-Christianity and the East did not, and we see the results there. Sadly, a lot of the West has moved on, and they're what's referred to as post-Christian in their societies now, and we see the results of that as well. But what happened in the 393 is that was the last recorded Olympics of ancient times in 393. And that Olympics ending with all their paganism, that was actually a sign of the times, because by the very next year, 394, this is under Emperor Theodosius, that's this guy here. While it was Emperor Constantine a few decades earlier who started the church-state relationship with the Roman Catholic Church, it was Emperor Theodosius who finalized making Christianity the official faith of the Roman Empire. And so with that, and Rome dominating the modern world of its time, including Greece underneath them with the Olympics and all that stuff. So the Olympics died out and that ceased. And so Christianity became the official state religion of the empire of the world at that time here. And his victory was actually sealed at this famous battle I'm sure everyone's heard of, the Battle of the Frigidus. Y'all remember that one, right? I'd never heard of it myself before then. So this battle was fought here in this field by that mountain. And with his victory here, he sealed his authority and power and rule and dominion and ability to claim. There we are. Bring this up here a little bit, zoom out. So here's the Battle of the Frigidus over here. And to give you an idea where this is, here's Rome and Italy going into Greece. There's Mount Olympus right there. So in the crux of this Western civilization, this is the final part that seals the deal. He establishes the Christianity as the official religion, And so the pagan Olympics die out at the time Christianity really takes root as the way of the world here. Um, any thoughts, reactions, observations on that influence and change?
And there's a long body of water, which is the Mediterranean.
Yeah, this is the Mediterranean right here. Yeah. Does that little body between Italy and Greece have its own little name? That is the Adriatic Sea. That's the Adriatic. Yeah. So all that's happening there. There's Spain and Portugal and all that, France, Germany, all that stuff. So everyone is being influenced by this change now. So that is the 393, 394 time frame. Now we're going to jump ahead to the 1600s. Here's